Welcome back, everybody. This is it's another one of these. If you've been watching these and you made it to this one, I'm sure you already know what this is. And if you're starting with this one, what are you doing? Because we're talking about Kara no Kyokai, Garden of Sinners, Movie 4, The Hollow Shrine, and J-Chip's here, and we're going to talk about it. And it's a pretty good movie. Um, Essentially, without giving too much away, I guess a brief plot description. Um, it's I don't remember which year it is, but it's the introduction of Toko into Shiki's life, and the introduction of her unique ability known as the Mythic Eyes of Death Perception, and how she's gonna grow to learn to use them. And we learned that she was in a coma for a while, and she's gonna learn how to use these powers, and we learn a little bit more about Toko, a character that was sort of a mystery. I mean, it still is still a mystery, but we know a little more about her now. Um, but it's if someone just asked me point blank, is it a watchable movie? I'd say yeah. I'd recommend it. J Chip, would you say the same thing?
Yeah, I like it more than I like the second movie.
Yes. Yeah, I would say the second one is still like my bottom tier, which it
I
feels
think
weird to say, because it's not a bad movie, but compared to everything
I,
else,
I think it's on the same level as movie 3. It's nothing special, but it's still good.
I'd agree with that. I think I kind of like three more just because of the crazy gore that it had.
Yeah.
Whereas,
Also, I think 3 had a better villain.
yeah, oh
Well,
for sure,
villain I put in quotation marks.
yeah, for sure, because three actually had like other characters that mattered. This one is pretty much just Toko and Shiki, a little bit of Mikia. We get like a splash of Mikia here and there, and when we get him, it's good. But uh, the enemy is this like guy who doesn't really matter, like a zombie
Mhm.
dude, like for some reason. Um, and yeah, I liked how, because one of my favorite characters in this is Toko, and Toko is this like she's definitely like a little older. She's getting up to like the MILF age, although she doesn't have kids, as far as I know. She has two rather big personalities under her shirt, and she's always smoking, which is detracts from her hotness, in my opinion. But she's a redhead, which is a plus for me, and she's really smart and seems to know a lot about the occult. And we learn that she is. By the way, there's gonna be some spoilers from here on out. So if you all you want to know is my immediate opinion of the movie and J Chip's immediate opinion of the movie, stop watching. Um,
Trust me, this is not a long movie, so you
it's
can
not.
just go
There's
watch
really
it.
not a lot to this. Like, she is a magus, as she describes it, and we already know that she makes these weird like puppets, and she made like the fake arm that Shiki uses. We don't know the exact usage of everything, but she knows a lot about the occult and like a lot of stuff that happens, and she seems to have like a lot of like ties into getting herself like into situations. Like it seems as if she has some connections in the police department or some sort of government agency, because she fools this hospital into uh, thinking that she is like a speech therapist for the post coma ridden Shiki, who has injured herself because she can't handle her eyes of death perception because she keeps seeing the death and everything, and it's scaring the shit out of her. So, what did she? Would you like to tell the kind audience, Mr. J Chip, what when Shiki woke up, what did she do to her own eyeballs?
Well, she had a palms to get them against her eyes, and she kind of pressed down, and then the camera cut back.
Yeah. So she pushed her eyes, which seems kind of nasty and gross, and you would think might do more permanent damage, but it didn't. The magic bandages helped out because she wore these bandages for a while, and then later on in the movie you find out that she's okay.
She did
Uh,
her best impression of Serenity from Yu-Gi-Oh.
yeah, she was just She was just trying to get her brother to join a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. That was all that she was
Yeah,
doing.
yeah. All she wanted was for him to win $3 million to pay her eye surgery.
One thing I don't get is in her, because this movie is, I think, so somewhere between movie 2 and this one. Well, we know
Yeah,
that Shiki had was. It looked like she was going to kill Mikia, and Shiki being the bad Shiki, I think, the all caps Shiki, which is the male, I guess, Shiki. Her second personality, sort of, and she is somehow in this coma. And Mikia, being the kind guy that he is, visits her like almost every day and brings flowers. I think every day. So much so that the nurses all love him and they're like, "This guy's awesome." And Mikia, he keeps up he gets his good guy badge from the Boy Scouts because he's just super sweet, and he visits this girl that could have killed him every day because he thinks she's hot, I guess. But he visits her all the time. She wakes up, she freaks out, injures her own eyeballs, won't talk to anybody, and I'm not 100% sure how Toko found out about her existence, but she goes to the hospital and she's putting on this oh, this is another important thing about Toko, and it's something I find incredibly interesting, is the use of her voice in this film, and they touch on it a little bit in other films. But Toko tends to, in public and on the phone, use this kind, uppity sort of voice, when in her reality, her normal voice is much more stricken and serious. And Mikia comments on this when he first started working for her. And then when she starts pretend working at the hospital, trying to get Shiki to talk, which she can talk fine, she has this really kind voice, and hey, how are you doing? I'm blah blah blah, and it's not really how she is. And I found that interesting because it's sort of like a cool parallel between she puts on this facade of a personality, and she's dealing with a character that has two personalities, two personas, and I'm gonna guess isn't really fond of having two personas, whereas Toko uses it to her advantage. She uses it to make people think that she's not as serious as she might really be. I thought that was really interesting. But so she fakes being this therapist to get into the hospital room, and basically visits Shiki every day. And Shiki grows to embrace these visits and share more about herself, seemingly, with Toko. And this goes on back and forth, and then they start to discuss the two Shikis that are within her. And Toko relays to her that it's kind of just it's not really two personalities. You exist at the same time. You're not really separate entities. You're one thing. And she's like, it's really complicated. It's a really complicated thing to deal with, man. Is basically what Toko's like. And she's sort of there's a really cool point in the movie where she's she's using that kind voice. She's like, oh, starting tomorrow you're gonna see someone different. And then she comes in, and she uses her other voice, and it's so different, I guess. And it's probably you don't pick on it up. You do not pick up on it as easily with the subs. I think this is why I kind of wish that this was dubbed, because Shiki thought it was a completely different person, and then then she finds out that it's Toko. Whereas for me, when I'm watching the sub, I could tell that she's using a slightly different voice, but not all that much because I'm focusing on reading the subtitles. Did you find the same issue?
Yeah, I did. And I agree with you that it should have. These movies would be much better if they were dubbed.
Yeah.
But I think it would just be better for just to dub it. It would make it easier.
Yeah. I'm gonna assume too that when the male Shiki is speaking, it probably talks like a guy in Japanese versus how like girl Shiki talks, and you're
Yeah.
not gonna pick up on that reading subtitles. Um, and yeah, so it's a lot of just uncovering what these mythic eyes of death perception actually are. Shiki kind of has to come to terms with it, and she's actually forced to do so because there's this weird zombie guy who attacks her, and she embraces this battle. And she gets a really cool scene where she gets this knife tossed to her from Toko. He's like, use this! And she's like, I don't give a shit if you're a zombie, fuck you. And she fucking cuts him up and kills him somehow. And I skipped this. We get a little bit of cool magic from Toko. I feel like Toko improved a lot in this film. Would you agree?
Yeah.
We get like some magic. We get some fire magic from her, but it doesn't really matter, I guess, because it doesn't really work on the undead. She says something along the lines of, if he was alive, I could just burn his heart, but he's not alive, so he can't die. And then Shiki's like, fuck you, that's dumb. And then she goes and kills it anyway. At which point, I was just like, well, she could just incinerate it and turn it into dust.
Yeah, but she's not the main character.
I guess, but it's just her weird logic of it doesn't have a heart, so I can't kill it. It's like reminded me of there's a Robot Chicken skit of they're talking about what is it, werewolves, and how they can only be killed by a silver bullet, and it's this guy in the woods, and he shoots this werewolf, and it falls down, and then he it's still alive, and then it's like a pistol, and then he just keeps pulling out bigger guns and laying waste to it, and then he pulls out like a big melee gun like in the Predator movie, and fucking liquefies the werewolf, and then he scoops up the werewolf's remains, and then he I think he blends it into a smoothie, and then takes and then he shits him out, and then it goes, and then it the skit ends, and it's kids reading from a D&D book. And the kid's reading in the book, he's like, according to this, he's still alive. It has to be a silver bullet. I'm like, you're not alive at that point. So this whole logic of it being alive, as long as it's it not dying because it doesn't have a heart. Shiki quickly says, nah, man, that ain't right. And we get this cool scene of Mikia humming. I forget what song it is. Some song, and Shiki sort of enjoying his company. You get a lot of Shiki seeming for the first time that she actually wants Mikia in her life. And it was out of her memory. He was out of her memory for a certain amount of time, and then she remembers who he is, and then when she finally wakes up after all of this, and who's next to her bed? Mikia, because he's a good guy, and she's probably gonna bang him someday, and so they're really setting that up. It's really cute. I liked it. One last important thing is that Shiki, I think, I might be wrong about this, and if I'm wrong, people are gonna let me know down below. I think the male Shiki is dead.
Maybe.
Because she cuts herself with that blade thing, and then they act like she's getting rid of a burden out of herself. So I'm assuming maybe now, because this movie's past a lot of the other ones that we've seen, I'm thinking at this point maybe she doesn't have the two personalities. I might be wrong, but this movie had some good action. Again, awesome animation, awesome music. That's a broken record with these. More cute moments and more intrigue moments with the characters. This was a strong characterization movie, and less really about the moving parts, I would say.
Yeah. Other than that, there really isn't much to talk about in this movie.
Yeah.
It's only 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And it feels more like just an episode than a movie.
Exactly.
It's a good episode.
Yeah, 2 episodes. It's 2 episodes of an anime. One episode takes place at the hospital, and then another one takes place with a zombie fight, and then it's back at the hospital.
Yeah.
Which this is a very like this hospital apparently does not have a lot of people around it because there's zombie fights going on and people shooting fireballs and like people cutting each other up with knives and shit. Like I
It
don't
must be the
know.
norm.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like a Japan thing that they just don't give a shit what happens outside the hospital. But some fucked up shit happened outside the hospital, and somebody
Yeah.
should probably get on that.
Yeah.
But
Maybe.
yeah, overall an enjoyable film. I know the one that's coming up next is the biggin. But yeah, I would rank this one a little better than A Study in Murder Part 1. I think I liked the first movie still more. I think so far the first one's probably the best one, and then 3, and then this one, and then 2.
Yeah, it's somewhere around that.
Would you rank yours like kind of like that?
Yeah.
Cause yeah, and but yeah, if you guys have seen Karno Kyokai, the Hollow Shrine, let me know down below what you thought. Check out J Chip Show. It's a pretty good channel. Check out the Segoy Boys every Sunday. It features both of us, and we talk about things other than Garden of Sinners.
You never know what we're going to talk about.
You never know. You never ever know. Sometimes we don't know. But
we're not joking when we say that.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to part 5 of this series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Part 5
for
seems,
sure.
it's the build-up.
It's the build-up, and so yeah. Thanks, J-Chip, for coming, and thank you all for watching. My name is Miasma, and I'll see you guys next time.